the right remains with A and B doesn't get a direct right against X. So it's not inconsistent for equity to allow you to declare a trust of a right that can't be transferred. But it does give B the benefit of A's right without actually giving B the right. Okay, that's why trusts are so useful. You can give someone the benefit of a right without actually giving them the right. And there's something else about trust that's really important. Obviously, you could have a case, let's say that I've got a right against my publishers to receive royalties, and now I make a contract with you. And in the contract, I promise you that I will pay royalties to you in the future. But I say, this is just a contract. It's only going to have the effect of a contract. Okay? It's just a contract that I'm going to pay you this money in the future. So if I get the money, I'm then under a contractual duty to pay it to you. But we say it was just a contract. Now, what's your concern in that case? You might think, good, I've got this right against me, and let's assume I do keep on getting royalties in the future, so that's all fine. What's your worry? What's your worry if you just have a contract with someone?
Get bankrupt.
Yes, I might go insolvent. So my book will still do very well. My books will still do very well, but I'm doing less well. Okay? I can still write, I'm meeting that public demand for very long books about proprietary estoppel. But at the same time, my gambling addiction is causing problems. So I'm getting all this money in through the royalties, but I go insolvent. Now, you've got a contract, just a contract with me, but I'm insolvent, so that's no good to you. What you want is a right that protects you in insolvency. And the crucial thing about a trust is B is protected in A's insolvency. B is protected in A's insolvency. Because if A goes insolvent, and, you know, if it's a company, like, say, the liquidator or the administrator or whatever comes along and says, look, we want to get your stuff and sell it off to pay your creditors, they're not going to have access to A's right against X because it's held on trust. And assets that you hold on trust aren't available to your creditors. Okay? So the declaration of trust is actually not bad for B because they get the benefit of A's right against X and, crucially, they get protection in A's insolvency. They get protection in A's insolvency. They're not protected in X's insolvency. If X goes insolvent and A's right against X turns out to be worthless, it's bad news for B. They're not protected in X's insolvency, but they are protected in A's insolvency, which is, you know, pretty good going. Okay? So a declaration of trust is not a transfer, but it's, you know, it's not bad. It's giving you some things, but in commercial situations, why might A be less keen on declaring a trust? So the way to think about A, I should probably have said this earlier, but the way to think about A, think about A as being a company that has got lots of contractual rights against its customers. Its customers owe it lots of money. But what A wants to do, so A could sit there and wait for the customers to pay. But A needs money now. A wants to raise money immediately. Okay? So they know they've got all these valuable rights against their customers, and they want to use that to create money straight away. Okay? So what they want to be able to do is they want to be able to deal with the rights they have against their customers, give B the benefit of those rights, in return for B paying lots of money up front to A. Okay, the reason that A wants to make these assignments is because B is going to pay them, and that way they'll get money straight away instead of waiting for the customers to pay them. Okay, so this is what happens with the student loan company, for example. What the government does is it sells off loans that are held by the student loan company. So rather than waiting for the students to pay the money back, hoping they're going to pay the money back, they sell off those loans straight away in return for a big payment, and then they get the money straight away. But B, the purchaser, they're obviously paying a discount, and they think that they'll make a profit because they will be very active in recovering the loans, and they will take steps to make sure that these students do pay the loans back. Okay? So the reason why A wants to assign is because A wants to get money straight away rather than waiting for X to pay. And if there is the assignment, then the idea is that the risk of X not paying passes to B rather than to A. Do you know what that's called sometimes, that process where A is trying to raise money by selling off debts that are owed to it?
Refinancing?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose in a general sense it's sometimes called that. Another thing you see is this term factoring. It's often called factoring. Okay. No, but if you are a company and you want to factor some of these debts, why might you not want to declare a trust? What might you think?
Maybe they've got quite a lot of trustee duties.
Yeah, exactly. People don't like the idea of being a trustee. It's a bit... because you're a bit worried about what's that going to involve, and like you say, there are lots of duties that trustees are under, and they're very powerful remedies that people get against trustees. And there are these fiduciary duties that say you're meant to act in the best interest of the beneficiary. So in a commercial context, A is going to think, well, I don't really want to be under all that. I don't want to be under all these duties of a trustee. Like a trust sounds like a sort of thing I don't want to get involved in, really. Okay, like if somebody asks you this, look, can you be a trustee for me? You're not going to go, oh, yes, definitely, that's fine. Well, do I have to? Is that really? Because, you're aware it involves some sort of potentially inconvenient things. Okay? Right, good. So what we've got to so far, just to summarise. So we're looking at things that A can do that aren't an assignment and that aren't a transfer. And some of them give B a direct right against X, like novation, but then X has to consent. And really what if A wants to raise money quickly, A doesn't want X to have to consent. So you could try a declaration of trust, but then that sort of works, and B's protected in insolvency of A, but companies, commercial people don't really want to be trustees. So the things we've looked at so far, none of them work like a transfer. Okay. And we've already seen that at common law, the general rule is that you can't have an assignment. But, there's some exceptions for things like debts owed by and due to the Crown, debts embodied in a negotiable instrument, like cheques and bills of exchange and so on. That S&H, Chapter 15, that's just a book that we used to use, but don't worry about that. Or shares, like company shares, you can obviously transfer them because there's a register, and then it's nice and easy. Everyone knows what the position is because of the register. And as I say, some people say, oh, well, the reason common law didn't allow assignment was because, it's just basically being a bit silly. But actually, I think there's a good reason for being worried about transfers, which is the question of protecting X. So the other important thing you have in equity is equitable assignment. And the crucial question to ask about equitable assignment is to say, is this really a transfer or not? Does equitable assignment really involve the transfer? Because the other model The other model for equitable assignment is to say, well, it's not really a transfer, it might be more like the declaration of trust. So the question in relation to equitable assignment, really, is to say, is it more like a transfer of A's right to B, or is it more like a declaration of trust of A's right? Which one is it? That's the question. What do you generally do about breaks? Do you like having breaks in lectures, or? And I'm quite happy if you have a break if you want a break, or do you want to crack on? Don't really mind. Is there? What would you do if you had a break? Just sort of mill around. Well, we can have a break. Do you want to break? Have a break for 10 minutes, and then start again. Is that all right? Okay. Good. Feel free to mill around pointlessly for 10 minutes, and then I'll see you back here afterwards.